So in this video, we're going to be talking about the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. And that act was just passed by the House by one single vote. So whether you love Trump, hate Trump, or you're just trying to get your next deal funded, I'm going to tell you exactly how this is going to impact your real estate business. So real estate investors, listen up. So while the masses are concerned with the chaos and the noise of the new bill that just passed, a lot of real estate investors are really concerned about what this is going to do for their business. So there are a few important things that you're going to want to make sure that you understand and you know, just so that you can stay ahead of the curve. Because the reality is all of this at some point, even if it's not passed and becomes a law, all of this is going to impact your business. For decades, we've seen where just one small mention of any type of change impacts the real estate industry in a tremendous way. But the last thing we want to do is be left behind so that you're not eligible for funding, you're not getting the best deals, you're not getting the best tax breaks. All of that matters when it comes to the bottom line of your business. So what we're talking about here is the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. And a lot of news references are referring to it as OBBA. I've seen all kinds of stuff about this bill on the news, but one thing I'm not seeing is how this is impacting directly real estate investors. So I'm going to break down the good, the bad, the ugly, and what you need to do to make sure that you're ahead. So the first thing, let's talk about what One Big Beautiful Bill Act actually is. And before anybody jumps in my comments, yes, that is actually what they named it. But the thing is, beautiful, I'm not too sure about, but it could be if it's used correctly. Here are a few key details, and you may want to write these down. For one, it was passed in the House 215 votes to 214 votes. This bill was pitched as a tax and policy overhaul to protect working Americans. The major parts of the economy that are going to be impacted are border control, security, social programs, and taxes. The not so beautiful part of this is that it's expected to add $3.8 trillion of debt to the deficit of the already terrible economy for the US. And this thing is currently headed to Senate, so it could be adjusted or it could be passed. I doubt they would trash it altogether. And even if this bill doesn't get passed, this tells you exactly where Senate is headed and where the money is going to go. So the good thing is you're ahead of the game, so you're going to be able to follow where the money is going. So I want to talk about the good stuff first and how to actually leverage all of this. If this bill passes, tips and overtime are going to be tax-free. So if you're the hustler, the Uber by day, flips by night type of person, this is going to work perfectly for you because this is going to give you more income to invest in things like paying down debt, increasing the amount of revenue that you're going to have to invest into more properties. And you're also going to look more fundable to the lenders that you go after. The second thing I want to talk to you about that's a plus is the child tax credit is going to increase from $2,000 a year to $2,500 per year. So if you're renting to a working class family, this is going to mean that they have at least $500 more back from their tax return. Now, while that does not seem like a large amount, when you are a real estate investor and you're invested into smaller communities, into minority communities, you want to make sure that you're pouring back into these communities by providing them with education around credit, funding, financing, all of that, so that they can be good tenants to you, but also so that they'll understand how to put back into the economy so that it stimulates their growth and yours. The next piece of leverage that I want to talk about is the deduction cap that's made now from earners who make under $500,000. So if you make under $500,000, your cap now goes from $10,000 to $40,000. This is going to more or less impact states like New York, New Jersey, California, places that have higher incomes and a higher cost of living. But the secret to that is that means that your luxury rentals may become a little more attractive to people. Now, this next one, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, this sounds kind of wild. This is called the Trump accounts. This is where each minor is going to receive $1,000 to be able to invest in their future. It's actually being marketed as generational wealth in a savings account because it's going to allow kids to use it for housing, for education, for whatever, when it comes their time to be able to pull that money out. So my thinking for that is if you're a parent and you're a real estate investor, you're going to want to teach your kids how to take that little bit of money and change it into a lot of money. So maybe they're going to start investing into smaller parts of real estate. Maybe they're going to buy smaller blocks of real estate. Maybe they're going to use that to open up their LLC, those type of things, right? Putting that money into a savings account so that the continue can grow. But those are the things that you're going to want to do with that $1,000. Now, let's talk about the not so popular parts of this bill and why you need to move strategically around it. Programs like Medicaid and SNAP are now going to have more work requirements. So this means that if you have tenants that may be losing their benefits, this is going to mean less rent for you, and your rent is less of a priority if your tenants are having to choose between if they're going to get their medicine or not, or going to pay you your rent. Which one of those do you think is going to win? So the smart thing to do at this time would make sure that you're qualifying and diversifying a lot differently. So qualifying your tenants based on not only that they receive benefits, but also making sure that you have a mix of tenants who pay based around the fact that they actually get benefits, and also that they're able to pay even if they don't have any type of federal benefits. Because who knows, these programs could very well go away. And if they have the work restriction attached to them, that's going to be even more difficult for your tenants who may not be able to physically work, or who have other issues that keep them from working and they haven't quite found the right documentation to support them. There's also no gender affirming care clinics and no abortion care support funding. Now, not saying that you have to agree or disagree with either one of these statements, but what that does mean is that your tenants may be put into a position where they're having to choose rent over their care. If they don't have access to the proper health care or the proper systems that they need to survive and support their families, then they may move, or they may just start skipping rent. Now, this next part is going to blow your mind. $150 billion to defense, $70 billion to border control, but zero to housing. So basically securing the border, but not securing affordable housing. As an investor, this is going to mean that you have less grant support, but this is also going to mean more competitive markets in areas that are known to be clean and safe. So that means that you need to have your funding ready so that you can place higher bids, or you can have cash ready offers when these properties become available for you. And then lastly, the other shaky part of this bill is the $3.8 billion deficit this is going to put us back in. It sounds like another recession, and it sounds like inflation to me, but we've been here before. You know how this goes. The money flows into the economy, then the interest rates get higher, so things get kind of spicy, right? So the time to be applying for funding is right now, so that you can get lower interest rates. You can make sure that you have the best deals on the funding, and also so that you can make sure that your credit profile is A1 and you're structured to make sure that your business is going to be number one when the higher tier real estate becomes available. So all those 0% interest credit cards that you're getting in the mail, go ahead and start applying for those if your credit profile is already right. So let's put all of this together and really talk about how this impacts you. The time is now to start getting access to 0% or very low interest funding. This is going to make sure that, like I've said multiple times in this video, that you're going to have the prime bets on these pieces of real estate that are going to be available in the upcoming. Because what's going to happen is interest rates are going to go up eventually. And some of the people who are holding properties now, they aren't going to be able to afford to keep them. No matter if this bill passes or not, we already see exactly where the money trail is going. We already see that the government is looking to infuse cash into the economy. And we know what happens when cash is infused into the economy. There are other parts of the economy that has to pay for this. And generally, all of this impacts real estate. So whether this just impacts your tenant or this impacts your lending, both of those are going to impact your bottom line in a major way. This is your time to extend your portfolio to something like Class B rentals. Having Class B rentals is going to make sure that you have families who are moving into your communities and your properties that are going to be able to handle like child tax credits. They're going to have a steadier income. They're not going to be as dependent on federal benefits. What I'm not saying is to move the investments that you already have from inside of the communities that are mainly impacted. This is your time to educate these communities. This is your time to go in, infuse a bunch of knowledge into your tenants, into their communities, because what's going to happen is they're going to look at you as a vital part of their community. Once you become a vital part of the community, by default, your value is going to go up. Once your value goes up, you're going to be able to charge more for your properties. And you're going to be able to charge more for your properties because you've done your due diligence and you've educated your tenants. So make sure that you're not dropping the ball here. Make sure that you're taking the time to educate the people around you. Make sure you're taking the time to make sure that your tenants have all the resources they need so that you don't lose money and so that they can help their families thrive and survive. And then that way, you're looked at as a hero in this thing. And if you're really strategic, go ahead and start watching what your state and federal policies are doing. Make sure that you're using all of these advantages that we already have, even without this bill, into closing your Q4 and making your Q1 really strong for next year. Other things that you would do if you were really strategic is go ahead and make sure that your credit profile is A1. Make sure your business is set up for funding. Make sure that you are already bankable with your bank. And also make sure that you know the rules and regulations for your state and federal government so that when others are playing around and just doing whatever it is that they want to do, you already know the rules and you already know the rules of the game. Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill is full of wild headlines. And we've only just talked about just a few of them, mainly the ones that impact real estate investors. But as always, my job is to make sure that you have the best information so that while the government is playing chess, you're not out here playing checkers. So if you're not sure about how to move into the next stage of your business, how to make sure that you have enough funding, and how to make sure that you actually have more funding that you need, go ahead and click the link below, book a call with my team, and they're going to make sure that they have everything that you need and get it over to you so that you have everything packaged strategically so that you can make sure you fund your next deal with ease. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And also, if you're looking for more information like this, we have way more videos on the channel that's going to assist you with your next real estate deal. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.